Welcome to another episode of the High Performance Physique Podcast. I don't even know if I want to call it that anymore, to be honest. I want to start maybe changing things. Peak Performance Podcast? I don't know.
It has a ring to it.
Anyway, the name
totally does.
Name doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. Today, joined by two awesome guests. We have the Elder Bro, aka Titan Grip, aka... No, I was going to go down a wee rabbit hole of making nicknames, but we also have Iain McFarlane, my brother, absolute legend of a guy, and we also have Mark Sweeney, head of strength and performance inside the Peak Performance Project, father, friend, ex-firefighter, great guy as well. I could probably went in a bit more depth of...
I'm just elder bro, Titan Grip, that's it. Leave it at that, that'll do.
Yeah, so coming into this podcast today, we want to honestly dive into some notes and questions and thoughts, philosophies, shares, in which I think we could maybe provide a little bit of value on. I'm just back from travelling. Over the last 3 months, I was in New Zealand, Australia, a little bit in Europe. It was really good. The boys been up to all sorts as well. So, yeah, there's going to be some cool stuff to dive into today. We've got some notes in the old phone, which we can dive into. I don't know what way you want to take this. I'm quite relaxed with it. I think we're just obviously going to be able to get into flow state once we're chatting, once we're diving in.
Hopefully.
But yeah, usually the podcasts I normally run are just solo. It's just me ranting in my car, sweaty after a workout or something. So it's nice to actually be joined by another two absolute savages.
I was just wondering there if the mic picked up my stomach rumbling because it was so loud.
Well, it definitely won't for Mark because he just digested about 700 grams worth of food.
Yeah. I thought Mark went for a piss. He went and ate like a spaghetti bolognese in one
Got to keep that
minute.
blood sugar up, man.
See from hitting a hypo, 45 minutes in and just drill it into the mic.
Yeah, you just know why you have to pick me up.
No,
if I faint.
I can't. That's the thing.
It's the last thing, man. There was once a night out, I had to carry Christian, one of our mates, into the house, and he's like 6 foot, but he doesn't weigh anything near you. And that was hard. I can't even imagine trying to pick you up and carry you.
It's a 2-man job.
2-man job, 3-man even. Especially you're finishing off your bulk right now, isn't it?
Tail end of it, mate.
Yeah. When's prep start?
Hopefully December. Early December. Maybe late November.
Do you not find it quite hard to commit to a diet through December? Or like start it?
I mean, if it's not Christmas, it's Easter. Then if it's no Easter, it's my birthday. And so it's just, you're always going to get those kind of periods. Ultimate temptation. I'm always dieting in Easter.
Yeah.
Do you know, when you're always walking and just looking at all these fantastic chocolate eggs and that, you know, so like, and then I end up buying them and holding them.
Yeah, for the post bodybuilding show, like
everyone tells you to not hold like things when you're dieting, but like I'm sure that everyone that goes through extreme diets and
it's
that
like
holds
Gollum with the ring.
Yeah,
chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. Every night I'll just go through and smell a wee bit before I go to bed.
So your Wayne's bedroom has like a castle made of chocolate eggs for him to play in. Yeah, no, interesting. I think that's a cool philosophy to have for dieting.
Because I mean, when you're dieting, there's always going to be stuff coming up, always social events, there's always going to be sacrifice in that. So
yeah,
you've always got such a big goal, so that's got to help. Like,
and you get used to it. You do. You totally get used to it, because even through like a kind of bulk phase, like, you know, I'm no like if it's a kind of off-plan meal, it's going to be a kind of big occasion. Do you know? So you kind of just get into the mindset after a while that it never ends.
Yeah.
I think it's a mistake. Especially if you're bodybuilding, or even if you see even like a client coming into the program and they're going through this crazy fat loss phase, it's a mistake to think that there's an end goal. It's about a change of attitude. It's about a change of how you approach everything.
Yeah,
you know,
you kind of want to start living like the person you're
so
going to be.
Yeah, totally.
At the end of the process, if you
want.
So
if you start having all these big fantasies, can't I wait till this photo shoot's over? Can't I wait till the show's over? I'm going to absolutely just demolish
this long list of like restaurants or social events they've missed out on. So it's like,
exactly.
I want to completely fuck it.
So because
I've been there as well. I've been there as well.
You know? Just go back to your old habits in like 1 week, and that's you. Fucked, essentially.
That's probably what you learn the most about, is the mindset necessary. To keep moving forward at the most optimal way.
You've got, I think, for like it's actually quite cool. led quite nicely into our first point, which was like what kind of separates a client getting a good result from a world-class one. Kind of just led ourselves to that first point anyway. But from my idea, it's like you got to renounce the end goal completely. You touched on, you can't even think that is something that you're going to get to. You just have to be so process driven. And it's like a lot of people are like, oh, one day I'm going to start this. It's like, oh, like you were saying with Easter, birthdays, Christmas. It's like, but once I get into January, I'll start. One day I'll start. If it's not one day, it's day one, motherfucker. It's like every single day is that opportunity for that 1% improvement that is going to allow that traction to build and just build and build and build. And see, when you don't put so much emphasis on wanting the result yesterday, because a lot of people, you know, I'll be happy when I lose the weight or I get jacked or I'll have the confidence. It's like, no, you won't. You need to be happy with what you've got, who you are, and where you're fucking heading.
Yeah, because that's like, you're not living day to day, and that sort of reality, like you are not like focusing on the current day. You're literally you've always got your head in the future, and essentially to get a result, it has to be a day-to-day process. Mm-hmm. You just have to think of what is the next move, what is the next step that is actually going to drive you towards that, rather than like just, you know, thinking one day it's going to be there, one day I'm going to have the habits. It's like,
it's going to be better. It's going to be better.
yeah.
Because like we've been in this game, all of us now, for like over a decade, in at least some regard, like health, fitness, well-being, just
like
trying to...
You've been coaching for what, 9 years or something now?
8 years, it's crazy. So it's like, and you got me into training when I was like 14, 15, you know, so it's like, when you've been playing the game for so long, it's just a game of that constant improvement. How can I get better? How can I just refine this a little bit more? And you get to a point where it's like, there's a blueprint for this. There's a blueprint for me. I know what kind of works for me. It feels good when I wake up at this time. Feels good when I go to bed at this time. Yeah, well, fuck it. Sometimes we stay up too late. We miss our alarm. That's going to happen. But see, when you get really good at being someone that just never misses anymore, you realise that instant gratification you get from sleeping in, staying up late at night, nothing happens past 10 at night anyway on like a school week.
Only bad things happen. Only bad things happen after like 11, 12, you know, getting into the early hours. It's like,
to have Cocoa Pops.
All that's going to happen is you're either going to drink, you're going to do drugs, you're going to fucking wank, you're going to go on Tinder if you're single, you're going to whatever, like, of these things, you're just going to end up in the fucking the devil's playground, like
100%.
Just fucking go to bed.
100%. But it's like when you become that man that doesn't miss anymore, and you know what works for you, that blueprint, you almost feel so much better having that in front of you to just stick to. Because it's man. Like the food, the drugs, the gluttonous behaviours, the instant gratifying behaviours in which you normally will seek when you're in like a low frequency state.
Well, here's the thing as well, the longer you stay up, the weaker you get, because you're so tired, so you start making these terrible decisions. You know, you're basically like, you're forcing yourself to stay up on your phone or whatever, all these, you know, all this stimulation.
One more episode.
Yeah, and like the longer you're up, the more tired you get, like the more you're going to be prone to slipping into, you know, shite behaviours, which is not going to be good for a body transformation, your health, whatever the hell it is you're getting after.
It all comes down to your perception of purpose, doesn't it? Because, like, I was talking about this a couple of Thursday nights ago, and if you're somebody that doesn't really have a sort of set mindset on like your kind of structures and your daily routines and that, and understand what that does for you and why you stick to it and why you don't do certain things, which is probably more important. So why you don't stay up late, why you don't just constantly go for another episode, why you stay up on up, you know, and why you don't just constantly get takeaways and, you know, drink too much, take drugs, whatever it is, and you realise why you stay away from that is more important than even keeping up the good habits. Because if you've got that kind of purpose, then you understand why you're throwing off those kind of instant gratification things. Because if you know why you're staying away from it, you know why you're doing what you're doing, that's what gives you that kind of rooted pleasure in life. and that kind of fulfillment in life. So that's that sort of, people talk about sort of delayed gratification. So if you don't have that sort of rooted sense of purpose, and I want to stay away from the word happiness, really, but more fulfillment,
more content.
Yeah. And if you have that within you, you're not going to just seek out pleasure wherever you can get it.
Yep.
Because if you are kind of essentially a bit hollow inside because you don't really know who you are and what what it is maybe, and you're not essentially trying to achieve anything, just why it is you want to be in your best spot and be as healthy and as fit and as strong as you possibly can be, then that's what your pleasure is. Sticking to that and understanding what that does for you. Because if you don't have that, you're going to take happiness and pleasure wherever you can fucking get it.
Oh, 100%.
So it's like, I'm in the buying petrol, Snickers.
So understanding the why. You really nailed it there, understanding the why. And I think that brings us back to the point, like what makes a great client is a client who understands their why. Because if you bring on a client and you actually have to explain to them why it's worth getting out of bed in the morning, why it's worth eating healthy, it's like, that's not a place you want someone who understands, like, I know why I need to eat, why I need to train, why I need to get out of bed, why I need to do these things, because it's going to obviously make your life so much better. But if you're having to break down the actual reasons why you have to do these things, it's like that's when there's a bit of resistance, I think.
This is one of my biggest pet peeves, being in the game for as long as I have now, coaching as many people as I have now. People that overcomplicate the process and want to know every in and out as to why, like you touched on there. Why do I need to do this? But why are my sets and reps laid out this way? Why do I need to have a wake up time? It's like they're always looking to overcomplicate the simple shit so much so they can hide behind doing the work because it's too hard to do.
Yeah. And it's like do it and see why it's like that.
It's like you need to follow the process, have excitement doing the simple things with routine, with discipline, and not getting too high in the highs or low in the lows, and just staying congruent with this idea and outcome in your head as to who do you want to be, how do they look, how do they feel, how do they dress, how do they think. And see, once you know the behaviours of the person you want to be, then the why it happens, because you're already living in congruence. Then I was speaking even to Jude yesterday about this, but people go through phases of expansion and contraction and on a thing called a frequency chart. In a contractile state, a contraction state is like grief, fear, scarcity, upset, negative emotions, essentially. And what usually causes them, it's like when you drink too much, when you eat too much shit food, when you skip out and doing what you said you were going to do, you fall into that low frequency state and you contract. When you're in a high frequency state, it's like enlightenment, love, joy, you're excited. What's the blueprint that gets you out of a contracted state into an enlightened state, into an expansion state? It's like doing what you said you're going to do. Staying hydrated, getting the sunlight.
Simple things.
Getting to bed on time.
The core four, bro.
The core fucking four. Like, I'm not...
Hydration,
the ancestral
movement.
tenants.
Bring in our guest of the day, the Liver King.
Good to see you.
Brian Johnson.
I think it's interesting what you were saying about clients asking all these questions. And I think that when they do that, that's one of the biggest ways of self-sabotage as a client, because you're taking away the beauty of being coached.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask yourself these questions. Yeah. You don't have to think, what should I be eating? How much of this should I be eating? How should I be training? What should I be doing? If you're asking the question out of sheer curiosity, you want to know more about your training, okay, but it's like you say, there's a toxic kind of question asking, and it's like when everything's almost getting second guessed, rather than just saying, I'm quite interested to know what's the difference, what's the benefit here, we've changed the programme, why is the rep range different or whatever. That's a different that's for your own personal growth, for your own information.
Curiosity versus just reacting.
Yeah, but when the questions just become kind of toxic like that, they take away the beauty of being coached, is that we do the thinking for you.
So a good coach will always explain the rationale behind a change or an adaptation. That's why your food's coming down here.
Yeah.
That's why we're now pushing this, taking this out, adding this in. But see, when they're like, But why? You see, when it's like your first 30 days inside a coaching process, and it's like a stabilization phase, you essentially just want a client to track their food, maybe 3, 4, 5 days a week, show up to maybe some of their workouts and give it their best shot, send a couple of form videos, get to bed at the right time, try lock in a wake up time, and just reap the benefits of some baseline structure. I think the clients who just don't even ask questions, just implement straight off the bat, that's the ones that switch on to very fast. We've had some really, really successful clients that are just silent. They're just they hustle in silence and they'll just do the do, and you'll see this physique change week on week on week, and it's like, as a coach, we can almost predict it's like in X time you will drop this weight and you will look this way, and then it gets to the end of like chunk one, like we've stabilized, we've built a little bit, things are looking good, and it's like they've actually smashed the expectations I had. The word that I didn't even communicate to them, that were just in my head. It's like, you've dropped 30 pounds, you've increased XYZ, and you've not asked fucking any silly questions.
But you know why? It's because your onboarding sets the expectations properly. And I noticed this. I've been a coach now for like 3 years, and I've learned a lot, and the way I take clients on board has got a lot better over the years, and now I'm finding clients come in and it is more automatic, and they are working with that sense of urgency, which I think urgency is the big one.
Yep.
Coming on board as a client, you want to have that urgency to implement the things in front of you pretty much as fast as possible, because that's going to lead to the quick wins, that's going to lead to the buy-in, that's going to lead to the sort of motivation you get from seeing those fast changes, which is going to keep you in the game and push you through those first couple of months, which can be quite hard. You know what I mean, when you're making big changes. I think it all comes down to the onboarding and also how much trust that client has with the coach.
Yep.
And I think that's why taking someone on board without knowing them like quite well almost is sometimes not a good idea.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I never just say like, pay here's a link, because I kind of want to vet them a little bit. I want to see I'm going to gel with them. Sometimes I make the mistake. We have a great initial conversation to come on, and I'm like, my hair starts to recede by the day. But it's not always the case. We get some absolute gems that come on, and you know, like you both touched on there, it's like the expectations are set. There's a bit of urgency behind it, and it's like, inside Peak Performance, like, we want to provide someone with what they know they're missing. It's like, they might be successful in work, they might have a good relationship, they might have been, you know, seeking validation from other areas, having the nicest shoes, clothes, flexing with their job and whatnot, but it's like, we can give you what you're now missing, which is having a sick physique, having the confidence and validation from within, because you know you're fucking showing up for yourself. And I think when a client now understands that, it's like they can remove that idea of keeping up with the Joneses and going in on themselves. It's like, I can work on me now, for me, to get to the best spot I possibly can, to show up better for everyone else around me. And it's like, I think those are the core drivers, the whys. Because it's like, you peel the onion back enough of a certain client, like, I want to lose weight. Why? Because I'm carrying too much weight. And it's not really the case, because no one goes to bed every single night wanting to wake up fatter and unhealthier. There's a thing that they want to wake up and feel. They want to be more confident, have more resilience. They want to be able to have this sense of like empowerment from within, knowing that they are who they say they are, you know, because and so many people miss that, Mark. But it's like, you need to go deep and peel back the layer. That's why in the project we always talk about psychology. We want to get people's minds right. It's like, get your body right, get your mind right, so you can renounce the need to have that instant gratification, and you can actually just have endless results, consistent results guaranteed over time. But to kind of go full circle, what does actually separate an okay result and a good? What even is a good result? What's a great result?
I think that what I've noticed about clients that have been particularly successful is, like you say, they come on with a really simple goal: I want to lose weight. So it's like, right, okay. So they go on however long it takes, and week to week they're not only telling us about how more confident they feel, but how often can you remember somebody saying, oh, I've applied for that job, or I've handed my notice in here because I was unhappy at this job, or I've left this relationship, I'm going on this date, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I think that what separates an okay result from a great result is like you're saying, people are coming on maybe, right, okay, want to lose weight, but what they're really looking for is to be able to represent themselves how they truly want to be. And it's not about thinking about what other people think of you. You know, it's so much more than that. It's like, because, you know, we're human beings, we're sociable animals, you know, and I think that if you are holding these kind of insecurities about yourself, and it might have went on so long you've normalised that, and you might just think, oh, I need to lose weight, and that's the mask you put in front of it. But once you take that off, you'll feel like a totally new person, and you'll have this new confidence to pursue these things that you didn't understand why you were hiding from taking action to improve these things in your life. And it all starts with the physical. It's not just about losing weight. It's not just about toning up. It's not just about gaining a bit of muscle, getting fitter and that. It's about being in a position where you feel confident enough to tackle everything else in your life. You know, that's just one, that was just that one thing that was just stopping you from being...
It's almost like an anchor.
Yeah, and that's how I always describe it. It's like you want to be able to go out into the world and represent yourself as who you should be, and in a way that you want to be received by other people. And it's not so, again, it's too naive, it's too base layer to say, oh, I don't care about what people think.
Bullshit.
And it's like, but what do you...
That's the biggest bullshit ever.
Have you seen you? You're fucking rolling up here with fucking tits, pouring out your fucking medium t-shirt, wearing Birkenstocks, motherfuckers.
I had to Google what Birkenstocks was, because you kept saying Birkenstocks on Instagram. What the fuck's a Birkenstock?
You should care so fucking much about what people think, to the point that you work so hard that your self-worth is so deeply from, like, extends from your self-work. It's like, create the man you desire, give him to the world.
And what you know, being coached and following a plan, or just going through a transformation yourself gives you. It gives you progress in one area of your life. And say if other areas of your life are maybe a bit blunt right now, they're not really moving, getting that progress in one area, then that can sort of almost reframe your mind to be like, wait a minute, if I'm doing this, if I can progress this way by doing the reps, by sticking to the plan, by doing the simple things that lead to the big results, maybe it's just the same in business. Maybe it's just the same in my relationship. Maybe I just have to do the reps, do the work, and just wait and play the patience game.
It's like saving money. It sucks in the moment because you're like, I want to spend it on all this stuff. But that stuff that you get in the moment's not that good. It's like, I want to be set by the time I'm 30, 35. I want to have a nice wee bit away. But that's not going to come tomorrow. That's not going to come in a week's time. It's like, that's going to come through staying consistent with, like, daily deposits.
Oh, yeah.
Weekly deposits. And not breaking path. Because when you get to the end, or that perceived end goal, it's going to be fucking class. It's going to be amazing. But you don't know what it feels or looks like until you get there. But once you get there, you would have realised that the process of becoming over being is actually the most, like, transformational part of the entire journey. You know?
And you said once you get there, it's going to be class. I don't even think it's going to be class. I just think it's necessary. I think it's necessary to obviously look after your finances, but I think it's also necessary to look after your health and your body. Like, are you going to get to a position where you're like, oh my God, now I'm happy, all giddy all the time? It's like, you don't get to that. You just get to a point where now you're balanced, and you wake up in the morning and you're not living in your head. You just get on with your day. You start serving the people that need served. You're looking after yourself. You're in shape. You know, you've got your systems are in place, so you can just implement now without living in your head, without having that, you know, that little voice telling you you're a piece of shit, because now you've got the systems, now you've built the body, now you're doing the things that have to be done, and you don't have to think about yourself anymore, because it's rock solid systems. And now you can actually do what you're meant to do, which is serve other people, your clients, your family, whoever it may be. You actually can be a decent person, you know, like, not just a self-centered fucking idiot.
It has to start with you, doesn't it? It has to start with you, like just like you're saying there. You have to make yourself a kind of solid, immovable pillar.
in society.
For any guidelines to come off of, for there to be any kind of support that comes off of you, you've got to be pretty solid.
People need you. People need you at your absolute best, and it's selfish not to do that. And yeah, you have to be a bit selfish to, I'm going to the gym tonight, honey. Enjoy making dinner. It's like, this is for you, mate. It's like, this is for
if
you.
If it was 1950.
Yeah. That's when all the
wish someone would make me dinner, man.
People come after old Lou because I dropped it. But like, it is so true. It's like, you're not just doing it for you, but you have to do it for yourself initially, because those in your life that you do actually care about, small amount, large amount, they need you as you are in the moment, but they need a better version of you. And I always think that it's like, right, if I achieve X, if I achieve Y, if I go through this discipline for X amount of time, who am I going to be at the other end of that? Like when I finished the marathon through at the start of my trip through the Swiss and Italian Alps, when I got to the end of it, I was like, I wasn't happy that I'd finished it, but I was like, I've learned a new form of resilience and discipline and like grit, and it hurts so much and it sucked so much, and it was like a solo endeavor. I was like, oh, okay, I've learned a little bit more about grit, determination, being a better person, staying on path, following through in the process. And it's like, what would that do for your relationship? What would that do for your determination with work to go for that promotion? What would it do for you in life if you were going through a little bit of a hard time? Are you going to be able to stick it out, or are you going to fold over and lean into everything that we touched about at the start, you know, like the drugs, the porn, the fucking ordering a bin lid pizza, this like big old motherfucking pizza, and rolling up inside that every night? It's like, it's just, it's like, you're just going to stick to the process like you touched on. It's like there's a blueprint, the rock solid systems.
Yeah, and things are going to throw you off. Like like the last couple of weeks I've been moving, that's completely threw me off my routine. But you know, once I've moved, I can now fall back into these systems that are like lifelong habits, or not lifelong habits, but like for the last, you know, at least like 4 years have been really solid habits in my life, and I just fall back into them. You know, shit will throw you off, but if you've got that baseline that you're kind of getting back to, but if you didn't have that before, you know, life happens, throws you off massively, and then you're even more reactive. So you're now you're going back to whatever your baseline was before, which was maybe even worse. Like it could be a really bad place. So when life happens, you're getting really thrown off. You're like fucking hitting the fan when life hits you.
Going back to Cookie Crisp for breakfast, a vape for lunch.
You're like hitting the ejector seat in the car. Like, I'm out, man. Fucking like, order the bag. I'm going on a night out. It's like, there's not much is happening, man. Just a little bit of stress in your life, and now you're you're getting the 20 pack of Bud and
a bag of Beak.
Yeah, bro. I know. It's like, you change your own personal standards, so then now life's hitting you at a stressful time, and like, I'm maybe not 100%, you know, on point with my diet and training during that stressful time, but it's still fucking well better than absolutely nothing. It's like, you know, you're still maintaining relatively good standards, you know, in comparison.
Yeah, that's one thing that will allow any client to get amazing results, because it's like playing a longer game and knowing that shit's going to hit the fan. There's going to be awesome weeks, really shit weeks where you and your partner might not be getting on, weeks where sleep is a little bit off. You know, Mark's a dad as well. You know, I can imagine when you were a firefighter, a dad, while he was prepping for a bodybuilding show, going through a massive identity shift, even coming on board as a coach. You went through all these transitions. You didn't miss once, though. You didn't miss fucking once. There might have been days where you wanted to pull your fucking hair out, and like your family were going against you and this and that and the other, but you didn't fucking miss. Why? Yeah. Why did you not miss? Because you know what you're after, and you've got these systems that you've made almost so easy that you can't fail on them. Even when we were away in Belfast or Dublin on a business trip, you know, going out for a fancy dinner, and you're like, I'm gonna have to get my potatoes. He just didn't miss. He just knew what he needed to do, and it wasn't even a stress for you. It was a wee bit annoying, because I was like, fucking just sit down, have a glass of wine and a steak. Yeah, idiot. Stick to
it wasn't even that far in prep, man. It was like,
that's competitive bodybuilding.
Yeah, that's the far end of the spectrum, isn't it?
You have to do that.
That is the far end of the spectrum.
The best that you can be.
But yeah, like you're saying, like that's the thing that you see a lot as well. Because I think a lot of people, especially like our program, like people will come on when things have got good in their life, and they think, do you know what, I'm feeling class, I'm going to get in shape, right, I'm going to sign up to this, you know, and then they go 6 weeks, maybe even longer, maybe months down the line, they're looking great, picking up that momentum, and then boom, something bad happens. Something bad happens that takes them down into reality. And it's amazing, like how important is being fit and healthy, how important is your health, how important is what you eat. And it's amazing how quickly people will sack that off first. When things get a little bit hard, when things get a little bit stressful. And like we're talking about, obviously with myself, it's competitive bodybuilding. It's a totally different kind of conversation, different sort of end of the spectrum. But like you say, there's been a lot of things, like, you know, especially becoming a dad, and like when I was in the fire service, it was hard going. Do you know, like trying to get the meals in, trying to spread your energy, probably the best way to kind of put it. And a lot of times I got that wrong. A lot of times I was putting way too much energy into bodybuilding and not being as good a father as I should have been, and certainly not being as good a firefighter as I should have been when I was at work. And it comes down to like managing that. But you've got to manage it. Like, see if you've committed to something. Again, I'm talking about the far end of the things, like competitive bodybuilding. But if you've committed to something that really sets you on fire, that really makes sense to you, that you love, you're passionate about. And people talk about passion as if passion means that you love something, but passion means that you're willing to suffer for what it is that you love. That's what passion is. And the thing that I love probably most about bodybuilding is the hardship that it does bring. Because see, when it's all kind of said and done for that season and you stand on stage and, you know, you're just showing off your best package and that, you look back, it's totally the same as what you said when you finished the marathon. You look back on it and you think, I've been almost kind of reborn and like a new person. And you look back at all those things and it's such a profound experience, such an emotional experience when you reflect and think to yourself, do you know what, I didn't quit. I really fucking didn't quit. No matter what happened, I found a way through it to keep getting there, to get to that finish line.
Even for a client to experience that on like a percentile basis, like as you said, bodybuilding far end, they were even to like feel what 10% of that, 20% of that is going through, like, you know, losing 30, 40 pounds of body fat and getting a bit stronger in the gym and be able to balance their social life and just feel better in the bedroom, you know, fuck with the lights on rather than off, hiding away. Be able to look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know what, dude, I'm quite happy with how I look and feel. Get a couple of compliments in the office. That goes a world.
Oh, yeah. People need so little genuine encouragement.
You don't need to step on stage for a trophy, a medal, or applause. It's like, to do it for the simple things, you know. And I think that's what does separate a good result from an okay result. And like, it's hard to actually know what is different, because someone can come on and not lose any weight and just improve their mobility and their energy, and that's a great result for them. But I think it just comes down to everything we've kind of spoke of there about the process, the journey, becoming rather than being, learning who you really are throughout it. And I think you touched on the rock solid systems are a great one, because it's like you're going to be so far better than once you were from where you started if you've now embodied a process for 6 months, 12 months, a year and a half, and just grown so much through that, grown to this point in your life where you actually have self-worth, self-trust, and the confidence to do what you said you're going to do consistently. Because it means, like, you could take a lot away from me in my life, but if I still had my structure and my routine, I'd come back around. I'd still feel pretty good doing that, because that's all that really does matter, you know? Like, what's the best day of your life? It's like the day that I wake up and I can follow my process.
Yeah.
Like, that is the thing that's going to separate the good from the bad, or the good from the great. When you have these amazing systems and processes that actually just develop into an endless result. Because I want to be doing this when I'm 70. I want to be doing this 75, 80, still have a lean, strong, healthy body that if I, you know, drop the cheese board on the floor, I can pick it up without doing my back in. You know, simple things.
Yeah, it's the process. So 100% the process. Like, if you're always looking forward to the holiday or something, you're living in the future, man. You need to you just start living in the day-to-day processes and thinking about like, how do I want the small things to actually look? Because the small things are the big things. It's like, you know, like how you wake up in the morning, how you have your breakfast, how you have your morning coffee, you know, when you get your gym session, and how can you like reverse engineer design the perfect normal day?
Yeah.
What does that look like to you? And then the small things add up day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. And then before you know it, you're actually having a pretty good life because you've put all these small little things together. It's not the big events. They're not the things. They're not your life. They're little parts of your life.
Ibiza prep.
And you can't
for
be,
the 10th year in a row.
You're living in your fucking flat in Govan the other, like, however long, like, of the year. Like, how can you make that good?
Yeah.
How can you make that the best experience it can be? And it comes down to the systems that you design, and you fucking design them. Like, you can make it how you want. Even if you've got a full-time job, everyone's still got time outside of that where they can have some you know, have some self-control over their life, and, you know, design some kind of system that works for them, that makes them feel fulfilled. And it's the fulfillment as well. You were talking about how you feel that fulfillment at the end of a bodybuilding goal. You're stepping on stage, you're like, I fucking done that. Like, I went, not that I'd done that, I stepped on stage, I'd done that process.
Yeah.
Because I remember feeling I'm not a bodybuilder, and like I felt that the first time I went through a proper cut, proper changed my habits. I got to like the 16-week mark with like my body transformation, and I was like, I fucking done that. And I loved like reflecting back on how just like the shit times through it, I was reflecting back on, they were like actually the best times to reflect back on, because it was like I was in like such a mindset of growth and change, and I'm like, I loved that, and I love reflecting on those times of change. And like, so if you're like scared of change, like realize that when you go through it, you're gonna look back on that as like, that was amazing, like, and I'm really proud that I done it.
Yeah, I think when clients have a really squeaky clean journey, start to finish, no lumps, bumps, scars or setbacks, it's actually the worst for them. So like, I was actually dead easy. It's like, we want to make this as simple as possible for you. Follow the fucking plan and you'll get the result. But see, when you go through some trials and tribulations throughout the journey and you still come out on top, I think that does a lot for you. Because life is going to knock you down. It's going to be shit. You're going to have to wade through the mud quite a lot of the time. But when you can still pull off that result, and creative the man that thou desire to give him back to the world, that's when you win. That's when you win. But I'm sure we could stay on this topic for a long, long time. We've got a couple more things to dive into, which I think we definitely should. I think point number 2 is, it's about me.
Okay.
It's about me.
Oh, shit.
Right, it's your podcast essentially. You are paying for this studio, so we can talk about you for a few minutes, I suppose.
A couple of minutes, mate. 90 seconds is all I ask.
Cool.
But yeah, I was traveling for 3 months there, and I actually got in better shape. I found it actually easier to do it. I was thinking when I went away, I was like, right, it's going to be a little bit like a great reset. You know, I'll be able to kind of relax, unwind, eat some good food. I'm not saying I didn't have some drinks, but like, see, off the back of the marathon, it kind of resets something in my head, and I just had this amazing kind of burning desire to just be better. And I started hearing certain quotes and certain statements that I just couldn't get out of my head. They just wouldn't leave my head. Like, become a man that doesn't miss. Create the man that you desire, give them to the world. All these kind of quotes, like, choose, you know, purpose over pleasure, and they couldn't leave my head. I was always thinking of them every day. I would, you know, write content about them, journal about them, and I just started like embodying them. And it just means like, when I was traveling, I thought about, what are the behaviors of the person that I want to be? What would he do right now? What are the conditions behind nutrition, training? What circumstances do I need to, like, you know, lean against? And what constraints do I need to have when it comes to, you know, eating out, alcohol, sleep, all this kind of stuff? Because obviously balancing work with the time difference quite challenging So there's a wee bit of pressure there, not too much, but I just almost refound my love for training. And to give you a little bit, I've lost a wee bit of weight. I'm feeling good. You know, I think I started the year at like 84, 85 kilo, and I'm now 76 kilo. So there's a fair wee bit of difference, you know, like 10, 15 pounds or something, which feels great. But when I was away, I think some of the triggers, not only on top of the quotes that I was kind of living by, I know that's a little bit woo-woo to say, "Hi guys, just write down a couple of quotes and I'll change it." It wasn't the case. I've been doing this a long time. I'm very intuitive with my nutrition, but in Australia and New Zealand, the standard of human beings is a lot higher. The gyms that you train in, everyone's really fit and healthy, so your environment's different. You know, I'm not throwing stones at the gyms around Scotland and stuff, but you know, you see a guy in a high vis and his work boots with his belly hanging out just like on the bench press. It's like, well, I'm glad he's doing something, but it's like not the most inspiring.
Well, Scotland's not exactly known as being the health capital of the world. Let's put it that way.
Capital. But
I mean, the weather is shit. I think that is a big part of it. However,
yeah, weather was a big trigger. You're warm. You're in your shorts. You're in your tank tops. You don't want to be pulling up soft. So it's like you just start thinking, like, I think environment is a big part. Environment's a massive part, from the people you hang around with, the people you see, the training environment. The gyms over there are absolutely phenomenal. They have a different kind of ethos. They do a lot more functional stuff. And again, I picked a lot of functional stuff up when I was away, and that kind of helped me push the conditioning, do more cardio, all this kind of stuff. You're walking a lot more, taking it from maybe your 8K steps to 16K steps, so you're doubling the movement. And I think when it's warmer, you're not as hungry. You know, you maybe have that kind of larger meal in the morning to set you up, have a coffee, some eggs and bacon. The thing is with the meals as well, you find one meal and it's going to be roughly the same everywhere you go. So bacon, eggs and sourdough. Like, you can look at that and it's like, right, 800 calories, that's going to be the same anywhere and everywhere I go, give or take a little bit of fat, a little bit of protein, a little bit of carbs. So it's like you can lock in these conditions with your food. Like, this is going to be breakfast. I'm going to rinse and repeat that because I can't really control much, because I'm on the go, I'm on the move, I'm changing location every 2 or 3 days. So it's like I can control that breakfast. I can have that pretty much anywhere. So that was one of the things. And because it's so hot, you know, you're just looking to stay hydrated. You know, and they do sugar-free Gatorade out there and it's fucking beautiful. So I was chugging that. But like, you don't really eat through the day. You may have a protein bar or a snack. And then it means when it comes to dinner, you can have what you want. But then because you've been dropping weight, feeling great, seeing the results happen because you're pushing your training harder, you're doing the conditioning work, you're moving a lot more, you're super hydrated through the day, you don't tend to want the greasy spoon. You don't want to go for the horrible meal. You end up going for the steak and potatoes. And then when it comes to, you know, desserts or alcohol, it's like you can have one or the other, but never both. And then it's like, I actually value the feeling of sobriety and actually good energy over ripping the arse out it and maybe drinking 5 pints a night just because I'm on holiday. It wasn't really the case. So it was just down to standards that I managed to uphold and really get control of. Because before, in the past, it was always like, you're going to work towards a goal. You're going to work towards this goal. You're going to drop X amount of fat, or you're going to gain X amount of muscle. And when you get to the end of the goal, you'll have a little bit of down period, almost like what Mark said with the bodybuilding show. It's like you finish the show and it's a great feeling, but you need to have the next thing set up. You need to know where you're going, the bigger picture. I didn't really have a bigger picture. I just wanted to renounce the need for a goal and just focus on, as we touched on, the process of just becoming a little bit better, being able to control my food, being able to train hard, and just to embody a little bit of a new philosophy that didn't really have an end goal, but just allowed me to get better. And then I've done that for 3 months, and I came back a lot better.
Well, looks like you've actually fell in love with training again.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I can't even remember. You were obviously training for that marathon before. You know, whatever. I don't know if do you love running?
I like running, but it's like the endurance. See, when, you know, I'd look at my program and Dan would like schedule, and like, you're doing 30k on a Tuesday. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Tuesday.
So yeah, you fell in love with the training again. I noticed that so much when you were away, just from what you were posting. I'm like, you're enjoying that, and I think that enjoyment with your training being in a plan or that you enjoy, that has an effect on like your mindset around food, because you're like, I'm actually really enjoying my training right now, and you kind of you're like, I want to fuel myself properly for my training, and you're just in a better mood because you're looking forward to it as well. So it's kind of always on your mind. I feel, and you do start making those changes around that as well.
Yeah, it was like kind of like aspirational identity more than anything. It's like the person I want to be. How does he train? Is it going to be like bodybuilding or powerlifting or running? Why can't it be all of it? Why can't I sprinkle some conditioning in there, some mobility work, some kettlebell work? So I just started like collabing everything together, and that's where I find to feel my best when I'm just doing a little bit of everything. Maybe not going to be the greatest at one single component, but just quite good across the board. And the enjoyment was there, and I think that's going to be massive for even clients to think about. It's like, do you enjoy what you're doing?
Yeah.
And there's a reason why people do CrossFit or powerlifting or something. It's like they must enjoy it.
Yeah, that's something I always ask. It's like, how are you actually enjoying this program? Like, are you enjoying the process of showing up? Because if someone's enjoying it, they're going to sustain it for so much longer. And like, enjoyment's an interesting word, because it's like, that doesn't mean you're going into the sessions and you're fucking like happy days, like you're laughing your head off. It's like it's gonna suck. Like,
it's got weird that's on my head.
Yeah. You Mark enjoying himself, just having a fucking hack squat, like eyes about to fucking blow out his head. Like, that's enjoyment to Mark. You know what I mean? Yeah. Fulfillment, enjoyment in your training, is it? Like it's a bit different to everyone. You've found it with the mixture of the kind of more functional fitness, all aspects of fitness that you've probably enjoyed over your whole life. A little bit of running, a little bit of kettlebell, calisthenics, some bodybuilding. But you've been able to create that plan from 10 plus years of doing it. You know what I mean? So you actually know that plan's going to work for you. Like, instead of some random person who's getting started, just like, I'm going to throw all my favorite exercises that I enjoy. It's like, you're training chests 6 days a week.
With no intensity.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
you've got the experience to actually create a plan like that.
There was like conditions behind it though. It's like, I did say when I was away, just because like I couldn't really control the exact calories. I didn't want to track food. I didn't track food the entire time I was away. I didn't really know. So the things I could control is that I can probably exercise every day, whether that be a run, a weight session, or doing like a dirty 100, which is the squats and the push-ups, or finding like a play park to be the weird guy doing pull-ups and burpees on an early morning. Had a couple of weird looks, but it was like, I just love the feeling that training now gives me. Not only the aesthetic result, but actually like, it's the vibration, it's the frequency, it's the energy. Like, see, when you serve yourself in the morning, it also gets you away from, like, if you're with someone for a prolonged period of time, not saying like I was hating being with my partner, it's not the case, but like, gives you like a 2 hour block to yourself to go that walk, clear your own head.
No one wants to spend 24/7 with someone. Like, that means that when you go back, the time's better. Yeah. You need to have your own, identity outside of a partnership. I think you need to go and do your own thing so you can then come back and actually be Lewis. Yeah. Because otherwise you're just going to be thinking about fucking the gym all day.
So true.
And it's going to wind you up. Yeah. It's going to wind her up.
There's something to be said for morning training, man.
Aye.
Different level.
Yeah, there's something to be said for morning training, for sure.
Have you both trained this morning?
It's a rest day for me.
All right.
Funnily enough,
I did.
Nice.
I did.
But yeah, I started training like a wee bit later in the day, and it was really just to kind of try and link up with some people, and it just wasn't the same.
It's like a ritual in the morning.
Yeah, like, and that's when I feel forwards. Like I've got the most energy.
Oh yeah.
See, just waking up, one meal in, bit of caffeine in the gym, and then the rest of the day's my own.
For me, it's a bandwidth thing. Like, see, if I wake up and I train in the morning, or if let's say I pushed training later in the day and I'd done all of my work and busy work, calls, chatting to people.
Yeah.
I'd be exhausted. And I'd go into that training session and I'd be like, whereas if it's in the morning, that's like my on-ramp for the day. It's like you physically taxed yourself. So it's like you can just use your mental energy for the rest of the day.
Yeah,
and
I just think that's so true.
Yeah.
Because if you go in later on in the day, your head's just buzzing with the day. Yeah. Isn't it? And it's that kind of mental fatigue that you take into the gym, I think.
Like, it depends what kind of training you're doing as well. Like, if you were to push your training back to the end of the day, that might start becoming like just something that's sitting over your head, like, I know I'm gonna have to do something that's so hard at the end of the day. I cannot be fucked with that. Like, get it out of the way. The hardest thing is getting done in the morning. You know, even though you enjoy it, it's still hard. You're still gonna have to push yourself. Like, the kind of weights that you're lifting, it's like that's heavily taxing on the body. You don't want to be thinking that you're gonna have to go and do a fucking however many kilo stiff leg deadlift at like 8 o'clock at night. Like, no one wants
6 plates per side.
No one wants that shit.
5 at night once you've sat down and done check-ins all day.
Yeah. I mean, it's different. It's going to be different for everyone. I know a lot of people that much prefer to train a bit later in the day, and some people kind of use the argument like once you get more meals in you. But I feel like if I've got more meals in me, I'm just tired for digestion.
I like to exercise later in the day. I don't like to train. Training and exercise are different. I like to move, like go for a wee jog, go in the gym, wee bit of light conditioning, whatever. Training, like if you're lifting heavy, you're pushing things. Get that done when you've got some energy about you, like first thing in the morning if that's the time, or you've got a lunch break, or right after work before it gets too late. You're just pushing it off to the end of the night. If you're training for a specific like performance related goal, to me doesn't work.
But I think that's kind of how I got in shape when I was away. Wasn't anything wild, didn't track food. I just trained every day, moved a lot, stayed super hydrated, slept as best as I possibly could, and stuck to the basics, stuck to the routine. Like 2 big meals a day was working well for me. 1 snack, protein based in the afternoon. Just training with good intensity, being bought in, enjoying it, and thinking about not an end goal, like renouncing the end goal and just focusing on being the guy that I truly want to be. Like how he dresses, how he eats. Like the guy that I want to be does not eat 6 meals a day and like stuff himself with like sweeties and cakes. Like I didn't have more than like 2 pints on one occasion when I was away. That I didn't get drunk once, you know. And people were like, "Oh, did you go out and stuff?" Nah. I just didn't want to do that. Like I met some family, had a 1 or 2 beers with them and whatever, but like I just didn't feel the need to indulge. You know, and that just came down to me just acting like who I wanted to be rather than who like the momentary person felt like doing. Because everyone wants to get the dessert, get a couple of drinks with dinner, go up the road, and it's like, oh, do you mind those sweets we bought at the shop earlier on? Let's tuck into them, stay up super late. I just didn't want to do that. You know, it's just now a lifestyle, and it's taken maybe 10 years to get there. But hopefully I can hold on to doing what I'm doing right now because it feels good. Feels really fucking good. Yeah,
I mean, like, and you don't have to track calories anymore because you've done it so many times. Like, and you know, you're not training for a physique specific thing like bodybuilding or anything where, you know, you definitely need to track your calories. But like, you're just letting things happen as they happen, but you do know roughly what you're eating because you've just tracked for so long. You can, a guy like yourself, you can take the stabilizers off of tracking. You know what I mean?
That's all they are, man.
And tracking, like for the average person, isn't something you're meant to do forever anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't want to be fucking living inside the calorie app for the rest of your life, you know, unless you need to for specific reasons around a bodybuilding goal, perhaps, something like that. But, you know, for the average person, you want to learn a bit about food, learn a bit about like the macronutrients, the micronutrients that are in certain foods, understand how to eat properly so that you can just eye things up now and say, I kind of get where that's sitting. I know how it feels when I'm eating 2,000 calories, 2,500, 3,000. You can just, people don't like to put any trust in their intuition, and for good reason.
Yeah,
because we've been for good reason. But after a certain point, and you should get to that point where you can actually just take the stabilizers off and be like, I'm going to be intuitive because I've done the fucking work.
It's like it does come down to that completely because I've done the work. I tracked every day for 3 years before I even ever tried any of this intuitive eating approach because I felt like Terminator. By the time I'd done with it, I could look at a fucking meal and be like, boom, boom, boom. Aye, fats, carbs, protein, this, that, and the other. This is going to be X amount of calories. If I eat this, too close to this meal, I'll probably feel quite stuffed. Therefore, you just get really intuitive with it. But if you know what the result you want, like I like being a bit leaner now. I don't want to be like a mass monster. I want to, I don't want digestive
Don't
stress.
want to get too big, mate.
Don't want to get too big. Have you ever had that at consult, Mark?
Yes.
I don't want to get too big, and you're like, listen up, motherfucker.
Aye,
I've been trying to get too big since I was 9.
You need to like take a deep breath before you talk to them. It's like,
I mean, it's like saying, I want to go a wee cycle, but I don't want to win the Tour de France by accident.
I want to take up basketball, but I don't want to become Michael Jordan level. You know what I mean? Like, that's so spot on, man. That's hilarious.
But you get that a lot. You get that for
it's like, don't worry,
as well.
you won't.
See the way that Ronnie Coleman looks, that's too much. It's like, you're far from it. You're 56 kilo and you're 24-year-old. You've never stepped in that gym.
I don't even humour people with it anymore. I'm just no worries, we won't get you that big.
Aye.
Or I do humour people with, don't worry, I won't allow that.
I'll keep a good close eye on you.
I'll stick a pin in it before you.
See them next check-in. Yeah. Absolutely, Jack. I've been doing this plan 2 weeks, man.
What the fuck happened?
It's like, bro, I need to leave the programme. I'm fucking huge.
Yeah. But it's funny people's mentality like that as well, isn't
it?
I
think their muscles are going to be like balloons or something.
Yeah.
It's fucking
you get a lot of kind of crazy quick. But then it's as well as that.
I get it as well.
There's a kind of serious point of that as well, because we've always been interested, really, like kind of always been interested in being active. You could put it down to that kind of blanket term. And I think just by exposure, you pick up knowledge about these kind of things. And to us, that's a silly thing to say. Yep. But, to Joe Public that's never been in the gym, that doesn't know anything about food, doesn't even know what a carb is.
Yeah.
Then these aren't silly questions. These are just like that, well, will I end up too big? They don't understand the process. They don't understand what it entails. And sometimes that's the problem.
It's very true.
Because they're coming onto the programme and they're like, what, again, a bit of muscle, and they don't know what that will take. And it's like we were talking about earlier, a lot of people kind of shudder when they actually get into it and realise what's expected of them.
Oh, mate.
We've had that. We've had that before. We've literally had people say, didn't know what I was signing up for, really. Because they didn't know what it was going to take to get to where they wanted to go. And it's like you say, there is no truer words, because cliche as it is, there's no truer words than no pain, no gain. Because it's going to be painful. You've got to go down that rabbit hole with training. And that's the thing, like when we were talking about enjoyment, like you enjoy your training, but your training's hard, it's blood burning, it's full on, very, very exhausting, very taxing. The way I train, I love to train with intensity as well, and a lot of people see that and think, whoa, but there is that you do, and it's like we're talking about, like the kind of delayed gratification, because when you can go, you learn to enjoy that. You do.
Yeah. As
mad as that might sound and look to people, you do learn to actually get enjoyment from that burn, that exertion. Because like I used to do crazy sets, like last off season on the leg press. It would be like a kind of widowmaker set, like hit and failure, 5-10 seconds rest, hit and failure again, all with the same weight. So you're doing maybe like 20 reps, 10 reps, 8, 6, 2, whatever you could manage until you just couldn't move it. And I would come off the leg press and I'd just be seeing white spots. Can you tell if I was roasting hot or freezing cold? And I would just lie there. I remember I used to just always lie like on the walkway, like the kind of felt walkway, and I would just lie in my back, and I could feel, it wasn't even just like my pulse, I could literally feel the vibration of blood. Coursing through me. But I was sat there, and honest to God, as exhausted and, to be honest, in pain and struggling to catch my breath and make sure I was going to be able to catch my next breath. I was sitting there thinking, wow, man, I am so fucking alive. Yep. And so few people in the world will ever experience what I'm experiencing right now, where you push your body to the mat, you push your cardiovascular system, your muscular endurance, your mental endurance. Like the visions I would have in my head going through sets, like I still have going through sets like that. You learn what's damaged you in your life, and you reflect upon that, and you use it. You use that pain constructively, and you learn to wear it. As your better self as your more built body. And that's what I think, like, you know, like that feeling is like, people listening to this will be like, that sounds horrible, I don't fancy that at all. But honestly, if you can get to that point where you push yourself honestly, where there was nothing left, you know, and that's a learned skill, because what a beginner thinks is failure and what a learned trainer thinks is failure are two massive different things. There's a spectrum to that, and it's a learned skill. But when you get really deep into that and you can go really down that rabbit hole, that feeling that you will get is incredible. And it's like all those best feelings in life are on the other side of that pain and that fear that you're not willing to break through. You're not willing to step over that wall, you know.
What is it Arnie said? It's like the pump. It's like coming on the wall.
That's it.
No,
it's as satisfying as coming.
All that stuff. All that stuff you just said. Clip that. That was some fire. That was
good, man.
Some stuff people will never potentially ever get to in their life, you know. And I think it's a really cool thing to be able to do with your body, push the physical limits.
Yeah.
You were talking about how someone would look at that and think, I don't want that. That sounds horrible. But reframe it a different way. Imagine you train so hard you actually had no worries for a set period of time. For at the end of that set, you're not thinking about anything outside of just recovering for your next set, and there's a blissfulness to that.
So true.
That you can get from drugs, perhaps. That's about it. But you have to but you're giving yourself that same feeling
like
through something that's going to be a positive impact on your life.
You know what I mean? Like meditation as well, you know, if like you're pushing yourself so hard in the gym, like you're not thinking about, oh fuck, I've got this thing to do at work, or I'm having like money worries, or I'm having like all that stress is gone. It's just you, yourself, the machine, the barbell, the tunes. It's like that is sacred time for me. I don't message anyone in the gym, talk to really much. I'll chat to, you know, someone if they talk to me, but it's like I'm in the fucking zone. I'm in the bunker. I'm doing what needs to be done, because it's like it's a very freeing feeling, that ritual. It gets your mind right for the rest of the day, and that's why that morning training is essential, I would say.
Yeah, essential. I mean, like talking about doing those crazy sets, like what is like physiologically actually happening in your body? Your heart rate is firing, like your your sympathetic nervous system is like really like that switched on. You're probably pushing yourself, like you're to the point where if you were in any other situation, like you'd probably think you were going to die. But because it's controlled, it's in the gym. You're having that like literally.
Yeah, if that feeling just came on, I'd be concerned.
Yes. So you're creating that feeling, not like a fucking near-death experience, but you know, something like that. And like you're having the feelings that surround that, you know, in your body, the lack of worry about anything else, just really being in that moment of like you've put yourself in that moment, so it's controlled. So and you can kind of relish in that moment, and that's kind of yours. It's definitely like one of those elements of training that I don't know, a lot of people don't experience because they don't push themselves to that level. Maybe I've never pushed myself to that level.
I've seen you push though.
I've been to some weird places in training.
Yeah, when you were like younger, maybe like 19, 20, 21, you had like a crazy like powerlifting total at that time, almost like more than you do now. Oh yeah, I was much stronger back then, but that was before, like, complete Mongo strength. Because I used to look at the numbers. People used to like speak about you in turn. It's like strongest guy, man, strongest guy. Like you were like fucking 19, pulling like 240 off the floor deadlift wise. Like that's crazy. And then, would I love to have seen a form video? Luckily, like no one had a camera back then. Like but it's like it's a great thing, and you push yourself in different ways. You do jiu-jitsu as well now. That's almost like that. You're going to fucking death sometimes. Like you're pretty much trying to choke other men out that are stronger than you or more conditioned than you, and it's tough, man. It's like, when you're going against someone who's like 20 kilos heavier than you and is also stronger than you and is also more skilled than you, it feels like you're drowning. It just feels like you're drowning. You can't move. You can't do anything. And you're like, this guy could do anything he wants to. It's a weird feeling, you know. Very strange.
Imagine that being so exhausting.
I can't imagine you getting into grappling, I would
get thrown about.
Yeah,
man.
for like the first.
Weren't you a black belt in judo though?
I'm a black belt in karate.
Yeah.
But it's been a long time since I've done any of that. That would be funny. That would be funny.
You'd be alright.
Takes karate guy on.
They're like a rhino fucking figure skating.
For you to have a good round with someone, you'd have to find someone very strong to go toe to toe with you.
Well, you know, like karate was kind of like, you know, it's like it was like about. It's not like boxing.
Yeah.
You know, like where you're trying to like, or even grappling, where you're trying to like make your opponent submit.
Yep.
It was more about the control. So like when you were sparring like that, you would get a wee opening and you would have enough control to just touch and no more. It was you weren't trying to cause any you weren't trying to cause any injury whatsoever. So, you know, weight. I think they only ever went by height. I think it was height. Aye, honestly. So
we're in at 230
because that was the thing. Because your strength shouldn't. Your size, your weight and your strength shouldn't have really come into it.
But it does. Like massively. Like how can you like hold back your strength when you're throwing like a fucking spinning back kick to someone's head?
Yeah, I know, that's a fact, mate. That's a fact.
Well, we've got a couple of our points, conscious of time.
How long are we in? It must be
we're deep in the old. I think we're about
15 min.
Probably got like 20 minutes left.
Alright, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, we could either dive into, or we could save this for another episode, but overcoming issues with drink, drugs, being a piece of shit, and leaning into peak performance. Always a cool topic. Or we have just being a better man in 2023 and going into 2024. I think both of those tie in quite nicely. Could almost merge them. Because me and Mark were even speaking last night. Like, I think the lockdown that happened in, was it 2020, 2019?
2020.
Yeah,
2019, 2020. It was like people got so comfortable they didn't have to see others. They worked from Zoom. They worked at home. Deliveroo became a thing. Uber Eats. Dial a drugs. You could literally get drugs dropped off of your house at the click of a button. Dial a booze. Everything was so accessible. Everyone had a surplus of cash as well. TikTok came about. It's like everything just became like dopaminesville. Like you could have anything and everything you wanted. Yeah, we couldn't go out and socialise and whatnot, but you could pull off some weird shit in yourself. So everyone got really soft. People started taking clocking into work wearing their fucking PJs at the bottom with a suit tie on at the top, man. For curry sauce stains down themselves, like checking in, like doing all sorts. Everyone's just got so comfortable, right? And we were speaking last night when it comes to like guys in their 20s, 23, 24, 25, whatever. If you were in that kind of phase, that era, and you didn't really, if you weren't into your training, then see now you're reaping massive negative byproducts off the back of that, because they maybe want to become confident now because they're like, fuck, I need to go on dates. I'm being more social. I'm either rolling up like Skin Diana Bones, or rolling up fat, or rolling up fat as fuck, and it's like.
Oh, I like that one, man.
Skin Diana Bones, the Temple of Skulls, man. You're either rolling up, not where you want to be from in terms of like muscular stature, strength, confidence, or you're soft, you're weak, you're fat, and it's like behind closed doors, who really are you? And I think in 2023, like a lot of men are very weak, very, and I say vulnerable in the sense of like probably couldn't protect themselves. Not in maybe the emotional sense. I think everyone's a lot more open these days, maybe to their own detriment.
I know.
But,
yeah.
But
you don't really say too much sometimes.
Yeah. It's okay to not be okay, or it's okay to speak and stuff like that. But I do honestly believe that a lot of people have little to no discipline. They don't respect themselves enough to get respect from others. They lack confidence. They lack that grit and determination to really become something awesome. And you know, it kind of pisses me right off. And you said some really cool stuff last night, Mark, just not only from like the mindset standpoint, but from the physiological standpoint. I don't know if you want to echo any of that back or can remember what you said, because it's pretty fucking awesome what you said, because it kind of gives people the rationale behind why it makes so much sense to actually train, become a strong, healthy, confident man, be a leader, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I
do tend to go off in these kind of passionate rants at times, but I will try and recall as much of it as I can.
So I can just jump in the chat and we'll hold it into
just hold the voice note.
Teleprompter.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about, like, because obviously in the country, the UK, as well as other places in the world, obviously, but there's a big obesity problem. But I think that maybe more of a problem almost is people being under-muscled. Because I can hear people listening to this right now, like I said last night about saying, sorry for you, competitive bodybuilder, blah, blah, blah. But I think that I know that if you're under-muscled, especially as you get later in life, you know, you become prone to all these different medical ailments. You know, a big one that comes to mind is lung collapse. Now, like a lot of the time, all it can take but it seems to be more prevalent in males, but all it can take for you to get a lung collapse is being a tall, skinny man. This kind of being like this, having this kind of under muscular physique. And as well as that, you're going to, as you get later in life and your metabolism slows down, if you don't have that muscle tissue to kind of regulate how your body is sensitive to insulin, etc., it's going to be so much easier for you to pile on the weight. You know, and it's like people think of that and they think like it's all cosmetic. They think it's all cosmetic, and I think a lot of the time, like we were discussing last night as well, people get older and they stop moving, they stop working, they retire from work, and they just go into chill mode, and that is what seals your fate. You know, because life is movement, and convincing your body to hold on to that, because you know it's like your body's got that use it or lose it policy. Your body will atrophy any muscles that aren't being used regularly. So convincing your body to hold on to that muscle with whatever it might be, some kind of resistance training. Like even see, my dad is 63. He turned 63 this month, and if you walked into this room right now and I told you he was 50, you would not bat an eyelid. You know, because later in life when he retired, took up cycling, went to the gym, bit of resistance training, all this kind of stuff, and he was in the best shape he'd ever been in his life. You know, because he had read more about it himself, and obviously had the spare time in that, and he chose to fill it more constructively like that. But making sure that, or convincing your body to hold on to its tissue like that is a fountain of youth. It's going to help regulate your hormones. It's going to stop your body from just wasting away, atrophying. Obviously, as you age, more cells are dying off than are being replaced. That is the whole process of aging and how we ultimately die. But you can slow that process right down if you are convincing your body to hold and maintain and even grow muscle mass as you get later on into your life, you know, past 40, say. And a lot of people just don't realise that, and it's so sad when you see like these men that should be, these young men that should be in their prime, and let's just be honest and call a spade a spade. You know, they have a lot of these men that should be in their prime have the body of children.
Yep.
And it's not right. And I think like there is a lot to be said about lockdown, but also just the fact that we're in a massive technological age. You know, like hard labour jobs have kind of gave way, machines do a lot of things now, and there's maybe something to be said there. And certainly there's massive problems with the way people eat. There's massive issues with the way people eat, and this is a problem. This under muscular society is causing weak people, and it's causing weak, diseased people. You know, and that goes hand in hand and even leads into the obesity problem. And so I think it's important for people not to just look at it as, because I mean, people, maybe some skinny guy, really like exceptionally skinny people we're talking here, will maybe be listening to this thinking, oh well, I'm happy being skinny. But well, you might well be, but you know, we're talking about it being detrimental to your health. You know, you are not going to be as healthy and as fit, you're not going to be as resilient to disease as somebody who is carrying more lean mass than you. And again, I'm not talking about bodybuilding. I'm not talking about bodybuilding for a second. I'm not even talking about, you know, like natural amateur bodybuilding. I'm not even talking about that for a second. It just comes down to movement, some kind of resistance training, whatever you enjoy most, swimming, whatever, but do something and find whatever one you enjoy, tennis, football, whatever. just do it, enjoy doing it, and realise that you're not only just doing it for aesthetics or for enjoyment, you're literally doing it for your longevity and for your overall health.
So what you're trying to tell me, it's not just about getting jacked and tanned.
Well, it's always about getting jacked and tanned, man.
Because I've got it all wrong.
Says me sitting here like an absolute pale orc. But
sorry, I think you're sitting next to probably one of the palest guys in the world. I think
I'm usually only tanned for like a couple of days a year.
You might be out angling me, but I'm out paling you. So
so bigger flex.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, that's. I mean, that was what we got talking about last night.
Some super valuable thoughts there, and it's not just like outcome based, like life based longevity. It's like didn't your gran just like live to like 103?
Yeah,
because she like kept just eating healthy, doing the garden, doing the doing, just being a hard working old lady.
Yep.
You know, and that preserved her life for longer. It's when people do get to these later stages in life and they've not had that discipline built through their life, they do give up on themselves and then they just fade.
Yeah.
They get worse and worse and worse.
Do you know what it is as well? Like, and I've been hearing a lot about this in some of the things I've been reading. It's like with longevity, and like one of the things that kind of leads to, you know, people just dying early is like they're not robust at an older age. So when they have a fall, they're not able to either, like, their grip strength's not strong enough to either catch themselves when they're falling, or they're just not robust enough to actually take a hit. So they'll fall, they'll basically break their hip, something like that, get like hip replacement surgery, and then basically never move again. And stuff like that can be avoided from basically just staying fit and healthy. Having a bit of resistance training in your life. And I think that's kind of what Mark's touching on. It's like it's not just about aesthetics. It's like as you get into older age, like you need that frame. You need that frame because, like, let's be real, like, we're gonna live a lot longer as like time goes on, as medical science improves. Like, do you really want to be living to 90? Think about if you're someone out there who doesn't train, who doesn't keep fit, and you're maybe in your 20s, 30s, and you're feeling like not great right now, add 60 to 70 years of not doing anything to that, and think how you're going to feel at 80 or 90. Like, what is that going to look like?
You feel shit now, you're going to feel a lot worse, because like the drugs and the medication will keep you alive because your family wants you to stay alive. But if you feel awful now, times that by 3.
I know. If you're like standing out of the chair quite slowly in your 20s or 30s because you're just undertrained and under muscled, whatever, like, fuck, man, it's gonna be a long, painful life because we're gonna live a long time. We just are. Like, life expectancy is going up and up and up.
Yep.
So yeah.
So a lot of these people, even touching on the drugs thing, being a piece of shit.
Oh right, yeah, like
that as well. But it's like the people who are in that mindset are the people that will suffer from this the most, because they're abusing their body with the things they put in it as well, on top of having a very lackluster lifestyle when it comes to the training, the performance element, the keeping healthy element. So it's like they become this cocktail shaker of just shit. They put bad food in their body. They don't sleep enough. They put the drugs, the booze. They don't train. They don't do anything. And then they're still going to live just as long as maybe a healthy person. But you said something to me and it's really stuck with me. It's like you got 2 stags in the forest. One's got like the buckshot, a broken antler. It's like you're going to get to the end of your life tired anyway and fucked anyway. May as well do it in like the healthiest way possible and like experience it all, rather than like just get into it like unscathed but have treated your body like really bad. That's kind of way my brain looks at it.
Yeah, I think there's like 3 options you could either go down. Like the option of being like a real high performer almost, and like athletes like do this and they feel like utter trash at the end of their life as well, because they basically just destroy their bodies through hard training and competition their whole life. You can be the healthy guy, which is kind of like, I feel, which is like more what you're kind of looking for, longevity in your training and stuff like that, which I'm a big fan of. It's like, you know, maybe you won't be able to train like you're training now when you're 70, but you'll still be able to do something. You know, you're not going to destroy your joints and fuck your back and break your neck, like and
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle.
I want to do kettlebell juggling.
Yeah. And then there's the third option that you're kind of talking about, which is the guy that actually doesn't do any training. He drinks, does drugs, all his life. You know, everyone's kind of going to live to similar age, maybe like 70, 80, maybe even 90. Like, you never know, there's a fucking anomaly with some of these people, man. Sometimes like these fucking crackheads live a long time. Like, so like
Ozzy Osbourne's going to live Miley Cyrus, man.
some people are just built different, like, let's be honest.
Built different.
But yeah. But like you're gonna get there. It's not about your chronological age, like, you know what I mean? It's like, what's your biological age? Like, you could be 40 but have like kind of like the biological readings of like an 18-year-old. Who's that fucking cunt? Brian Johnson, not the Liver King, the other guy. Blueprint.
Yeah,
he does all the biohacking shit.
He does invest like $2 million a month into his longevity.
No one's saying live like him, but like
he's obviously a test subject here.
Yeah,
it's literally like
that's what he calls himself, basically.
Human test.
Aye. His like biological age is 18. He's like 50. It's because he does all these protocols. You don't have to take it as far as him, but you can implement some things that are going to kind of like, you know, allow you to be in your 40s but have more of a kind of like biological age of like a 30-year-old, 25-year-old, like hormone profile of like someone who's in their 20s. You want to like still have good like, you know, testosterone levels, stuff like that. And it's just going to come back to the simple daily systems, processes, fundamental things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, you know, and it's mad, and it's like, yeah, you just have to take action on it, man. Like, have a goal and fucking start taking action on it now.
Hell yeah. Well, that was a lovely conversation.
I like that, man. It was a lot of fun.
That was great. Yeah, and thanks for listening, ladies, gents, kings and queens. We'll see you in the next episode. Have an amazing day. Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Cut that. Yeah, cut.
Oh, that was awesome. I loved that, man. That was good fun.